Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Real Life Stories of Building a Private Practice. And today I am joined with the lovely Kim Ottinger. She is a LPC and art therapist in the DC area. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Tell a little bit about where you're at currently in your private practice. What are you up to right now so people know a little bit about you?
Okay. I'm just getting started in my private practice. I have been working in an agency and I'm just starting to build up my practice. So I have, I'm getting there, like maybe a third of the way of where I'd like to be eventually. In terms of clientele, were you referring to what I'm doing or?
No, how long have you been in private practice?
Oh, okay. Less than a year.
And what made you decide to go this route, this crazy journey?
I think that I really would like to be in private practice and have the opportunity to work with clients that I would like to work with. Not just to be sort of given whoever needs outpatient work, but to be able to work with people that really resonate with what I want to be working with.
Yeah. So prior to this, you were working at agency, right?
Correct.
And you're still there now, right?
Yes, part-time.
You're in what we call the bridging the gap phase, right? So like that transition from agency work into private practice. Yeah.
Yes.
And, why now? Like, I think that's a big question a lot of therapists ask of, like, when is the time to start private practice when you're in a full-time job? How did you come to the decision as to, like, the timing?
That's a great question. So I work with a supervisor, Amy Tatsumi, and I was working with her for postgraduate supervision, and I've gotten to the point where I'm an assistant clinical director at the agency that I work for, and I was starting to look at, maybe I want to go into private practice. And my supervisor suggested looking into sensory motor psychotherapy in the training because she thought it would be a really good match for who I am and the way I function in the world. And so I said, that's a great idea. And so I got involved in that and started really considering more the possibility of my confidence and my ability to actually do private practice work and make it work for myself. So I think it was a turning point in terms of my confidence level and just feeling capable and that it was a possibility. And so I think having somebody say, you can do this, was a big part of what shifted for me.
Yeah, I think support is huge, you know, and when you have that inkling, I remember, and I think it's about the kind of support, because I remember when I first started out and I would ask people around my workplace, the agency I worked at, they were all people that had like part-time private practices that just kind of dabbled in it, but they never felt like they could leave the county, and that's fine. I mean, if that's the kind of practice you want, but when have this inkling, like, I really want to do this, like, fully, you need to talk to people that are doing it fully, that will be encouraging of that,
For sure.
And do you think, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I think also the addition of being an art therapist to my training, that's not something that, not as many art therapists go into private practice. A lot of them stay within agencies and hospitals and schools. And so it felt even more difficult to imagine that possibility. To have an art therapist that was successful in the field say, hey, I'm doing it and you can do it. That was huge for me.
Yeah. Do you think that like the sensory motor stuff and all that, I want to talk about that in a minute, but do you think that that would not have translated into the kind of agency work that you're doing? That like those skills and that kind of passion couldn't really flourish, and that's why you need private practice? Or is that not the case?
That's also a good question. I do try to use the sensory motor work with the clientele at the agency. I find that the clients I work with there, the focus is a lot of times is buy-in to the therapeutic process rather than the actual processing piece.
Yeah.
And so I think like the ambivalence when in private practice is so like, especially, so I'm doing private pay.
Uh-huh.
Also a big deal for me to like get over my own anxiety about that. But I think private pay really makes a difference in terms of that ambivalence and how, if somebody's coming, they're paying their own money, they expect a result, and so they buy in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so different from working with teenagers and families that are kind of there because they need to be, but they don't have the same motivation level.
Yeah.
Teenagers in general, I think, a lot more buy-in. So
yeah, I think it's kind of what you're saying. If like the agency work wasn't conducive to like the ideal kind of client for you and the way you want to work.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to actually like do the processing and be
yeah.
able to use the sensory motor work without having to get people to say, okay, I'm committed, like.
Yeah. Can you talk some about the sensory motor work for those that this might be the first or second time they're hearing about it, and share a little bit about what you're doing with that?
Sure. So I personally, I function very much in the world through visual means and kinesthetically. I don't use words well necessarily. So I find that I understand the world through images and through my body a lot more than other people may. Well, and I also like, my soul, my heart too. So having this work really allows me to help people process things and work through things through their body as well. So sensory motor psychotherapy is all about patterns in our body. Sorry, I have to take a breath.
Yeah, it's fine.
And using your body to process things. So if you think about talk therapy, it's a top-down approach. So it's verbal meaning making through narrative, right? So bottom up uses the less evolved part of our brain to access information and process it from a different level. And it really helps people to get unstuck from some of the patterns they have that they struggle to move through in regular verbal therapy.
Mm-hmm. So who do you end up loving to work with?
Me personally, I think that I'm moving towards working with more and more relationship and attachment issues, but I like millennials and anxiety.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Definitely
and I just want to point out what you said, like, I think I'm moving to, and I think that's, something that we talk a lot about niche, but I also like to stress the importance of the flexibility of niche. That like when you're on the journey, you go with something, you follow like your inkling, your heart, a passion, a curiosity. And from that, when you keep staying curious, then it evolves. So I like that it's starting to kind of evolve for you. Like, okay, out of this anxiety and millennials and all this is coming some other stuff, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think boot camp helped me to sort of like narrow down niche. I never know how to say
Niche, niche. Miranda and I both say it different. I'm sure that confuses people.
that word
Yeah.
down to working with strictly with anxiety and millennials. But now, as I'm evolving in my private practice work, which hasn't been long, but enough for me to recognize who's drawn to me and who I'm drawn towards. I'm recognizing that on top of the anxiety piece, it's definitely there's relationship and attachment stuff involved.
That's great. Can you share like what's your favorite part about private practice?
Oh, there's so many things I love about private practice. I think really for sure the best thing is just having people come in and really want to do the work. Mm-hmm. And being able to work through it and collaborate. Mm-hmm. Not feeling like there's this pressure to be in the driver's seat or in charge of fixing someone. I think, private practice, there's people come in knowing what they want to work on. They want a collaboration, and there's just a lot more freedom.
Mm-hmm. What's been some of the struggles of doing private practice?
Not that much. I think I make it a lot more scary in my head than it is in reality.
That's the struggle. The mind. The battlefield of the mind. Yeah.
For sure.
Like you do private pay, and that was like a little bit of adjustment. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's a constant adjustment. I think every time I have a conversation with the potential client, I'm internally going, I don't know if this person's really gonna like agree to this rate, and it's all internal. And 9 times, maybe not 9 times. I don't know what the ratio is. Maybe 5 times out of 10 they agree to the rate, no problem. And it's really just an internal fear. Mm-hmm. That, and I think the other thing that's been a huge challenge for me, as I've mentioned to you before, is that time constraints and trying to transition from a full-time position to working in private practice and scheduling, which that's always a struggle in this work. But
how do you fit that in? Like, what does your schedule look like for a typical week? When are you at the agency and when are you at your practice?
So I'm really fortunate because I'm able to sort of like switch afternoons and mornings over like one at a time, which I'm really, really grateful for. So right now I'm in my DC private practice office Monday and Friday afternoons. Mm-hmm. And next week I start with the full Monday. And the rest of my days are still in the agency. Mm-hmm. And I do come in on the weekend a little bit as well to my private practice.
Right. And then do you see that slowly just kind of the phasing in of more practice and less of the agency work? Or is there going to be a point where you're going to have to say goodbye to agency?
Yeah. So the honest truth of that is that I would like to keep doing supervision for the clinicians there because I really enjoy that work. I just think there's a lot of value in that. And so I want to keep that. But other than that, I'm going to slowly transition everything out.
Yeah. That's another thing. Like, it's not like it's all black and white. Like, you're doing it this way, and then you have to stop the agency, and you've already found like, okay, no, this is like the nice blend for me. Like, I still like, doing the work for the agency within this context. I think that that's important to be creative and give yourself permission, as we've talked about, to do like what feels right, what makes sense when you look at numbers and when you look at your lifestyle and life plan or trajectory. There's a lot of factors being taken into consideration, and there's not like this one way of doing practice, which is why I love hearing everyone's stories. We're all so different.
Yeah, for sure. It's nice to have that capability to kind of mix things up. Actually, I like that.
So being a person that is more kinesthetic and less verbal, what marketing has worked for you?
Oh, I'm still working on that.
Yeah.
I'm just getting, again, really fortunate to have the supervisor that I do, because she's kind of been able to refer clients to me. And I'm just starting to get involved with social media and getting out, and my plan is to go talk with different clinicians and agencies, hospitals, IOPs in the area and put my name out there, but I'm just starting that process.
Yeah. I think, when we look at the marketing aspect, it is about aligning with the pieces of ourselves that shine, and it being an artist, being more kinesthetic, like it would make sense to be a little bit more creative or visual in your marketing than verbal, right?
Yeah, I'm excited about being able to do that. I was thinking about like flyers for potential workshops, and I was getting excited about like putting together flyers. And Amy created the website that we use, and it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for someone that is about to start, that has this like little flame of flicker in their heart of like, I want to do practice, I think, what is one piece of advice that you have to give to them about getting started?
Yeah. I really, really think it's permission. If you need some support, then getting somebody to help you with that, but giving yourself permission to see the possibility in your own capability to do it, because it's, like I said, it's just so much bigger in your head than it is in reality.
I love that. Thank you so much, Kim, for sharing.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And I hope that people hear your story and are inspired. I know I am. I think it's good. I know you reached out and I was like, I want to feature you. Even though you're starting, it doesn't matter. Like, we're all in different spots. And someone listening today will need to hear what you have to say. And where can people reach out to you if they want to connect?
Sure. So my website is yoursoultherapy.com, and my email is kim@yoursoultherapy.com.
Awesome.
That would be a great place to reach me.
Okay, I'll put that link too on the blog post as well. All right, guys, if you're listening, thank you for listening, and reach out to Kim and see what she's up to. This is a great kind of way of working with people from a different angle, and I really loved hearing about it. And if you're watching this on the blog, please post below, where are you at in your practice? How's it going? And if you have any questions, we'd love to answer them for you. All right, have a great day.